Department of State, which has been a wonderful partner throughout all of this, Campus Vote Project, Campus Election Engagement Project, the Philadelphia Higher Education Network for Neighborhood Development, the Andrew Goodman Foundation, Campus Compact New York and Pennsylvania, GirlGov, PenPIRG, and the Students Learn, Students Vote Coalition. And I know that's a really long list, and I really just want to lift that up because it truly is collaboration that makes these events possible. So in the next hour, we'll hear important information to make sure that students in Pennsylvania and on your campus have the information they need to make a plan to vote. In just a couple moments, we'll hear from Dr. Quentin Bullock, who's the president of the Community College of Allegheny County. We'll then hear from an incredible panel of students, faculty, and staff on what has worked for them and what challenges they're still facing to ensure students are ready to vote this fall. Then we'll hear from the Pennsylvania Department of State, especially about some recent election updates that have developed since our last summit on September 16th. And then we'll hear a few updates about some opportunities to engage students before the election. Lastly, from 4 to 4:45 today, there's an optional breakout session about the Ask Every Student initiative. This session will be led by Carmen Linero Lopez, the project manager of Ask Every Student. In appreciation of the work you've already done, each campus that attends and commits to continuing efforts to full student voter participation will be awarded a minimum of $1,000 with opportunities to receive more funding. So if you're interested in learning more about the Ask Every Student program, Carmen will be joining us right at the end of this call to give a quick minute pitch, and then you can stay on at 4 p.m. And now it's my honor, especially as the garbage truck is coming down the alley, to introduce Dr. Quentin Bullock, who is the 9th president of the Community College of Allegheny County. Dr. Bullock, the floor is yours.
Dr. Bullock, can you unmute?
Thank you. Let's start over. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for a very timely and important presentation, co-hosted by the Pennsylvania Department of State and Civic Nation's All-in-All Campus Democracy Challenge. The presentation focuses on the importance of Pennsylvania's higher education institutions in supporting nonpartisan student voting efforts. As president of the Community College of Allegheny County and a signatory of the president's commitment to full student voter participation, I welcome and wholeheartedly support opportunities to encourage students to be full participants in the democratic process. At CCAC, we view civic engagement as part of a well-rounded educational experience, one that is essential in helping students become informed, involved, integrated members of the community and society as a whole. Since joining the Democracy Commitment in 2011, CCAC has become increasingly committed to reducing apathy, increasing community engagement and student registration rates, and graduating civic-minded individuals prepared to solve the communities, the nation, and the world's most pressing challenge, released and related to enhancing democracy and social justice. We've all heard about the challenges of voter apathy and its impact on turnout at our polls. According to the Pew Research Center, just under 56% of the US voting age population cast ballots in the 2016 presidential election, a figure that puts the American electorate in the bottom 20% of voters from the democratic nations. Given the implications, it is disappointing that only slightly more than a half of the nation's eligible voters actually vote for the next leader of the free world. But there is hope. In its analysis of voting data from the 2018 midterm elections, the Pew Research Center found that voter turnout reached its highest point in nearly 40 years, with Generation Z, Millennials, and Generation X outvoting baby boomers and older generations. Additionally, All major racial and ethnic groups also experienced historic jumps in voter turnout in 2018. As college and university leaders, I think we all agree that while this is encouraging news, this year's truly unique election environment offers additional impediments to voter turnout, including challenges due to COVID-19, a divided electorate, and suspect actors peddling in disinformation that have led to unprecedented levels of confusion. As a result, these challenges may disenfranchise voters, particularly first-time voters, many of whom are our students. Therefore, it is imperative that we continue to take a leading role in student voter registration and civic engagement initiatives. This is specifically important now when traditional means of voter outreach have been disrupted due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. With all that is at stake for our institutions, our students and their families, it is of vital importance that our students and the issues that most matter to them are represented in the upcoming election. Through our leadership and support of students' voting efforts and other civic engagement initiatives, we can help Pennsylvania students become dedicated voters in this and future elections for the rest of their lives. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bullock. Really appreciate you sharing those words with us and your commitment in this space through signing the President's Commitment for full student voter participation and all that you and the Community College of Allegheny County community do to ensure students are ready to vote. And with that, I'm excited to introduce Philip from Campus Vote Project, who will bring us to our panel.
Thanks so much, Ryan, and thank you, Dr. Bullock. I am going to now move us on to our panel discussion. We've got an exciting set of administrators and student leaders on campuses across Pennsylvania to hear from. I'm going to introduce all 5 of them briefly, and then we'll get to questions. Firstly, we have Chaz Kellum. He's the director of Pitt Serves at the University of Pittsburgh. We have Dr. Jessica Mann, Assistant Vice President of Community Engagement at Duquesne University. We have Shakira Jackson, one of our Democracy Fellows at CVP at University of Pitt Bradford. We have Lucia Hornbacher, Democracy Fellow also at the University of Pennsylvania. I know she's also External Partnerships Manager for Penn Leads the Vote. And finally, we have Shelby Williams, Philadelphia High School student organizer. I know she is also active with When We All Vote. Thank you all for joining us. My first question for the panel, we hear so many exciting stories and innovative ideas about how to reach younger voters. What are 1 to 2 things you are doing between now and the election to reach younger voters? I guess we can start with Chaz.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I believe I'm 3 for 4 when it comes to summits, so excited to participate in as many as I have. And thank you to all the wonderful partners that have helped plan. I want to pause and give a shout out to Shelby, being a high school organizer. I wish I had that knowledge and passion when I was in high school. So shout out to Shelby. Looking forward to sharing information and learning from all of the panelists. At the University of Pittsburgh here at our Oakland campus, we are working hard. We are trying to do the small things to excite and engage all of our students in this very important conversation. With Pennsylvania being such an important state, we felt it was important to start early and provide information as often and make it as accessible as possible. So right now, between now and the election, our goal is to make sure we are sharing information with our campus community about making a plan to vote, right? Making sure they have a plan to vote. Whatever that plan looks like, making sure they have it, they have all the resources they need in place to do that and making sure that we provide them with the resources. We're also trying to promote with just a Pitt Votes brand with swag. We want to change the culture at the University of Pittsburgh. And by changing the culture, I mean, we want voting to be an important part of every student's journey every year, no matter what year we're in. So making sure that we create a culture in which voting is important. So we're trying to do that by just getting in front of them, meeting them where they are, taking the information to them in a variety of formats, using our friend of social media and the various platforms there to help us, and making sure our information we share is accurate and as transparent as possible. So thank you for having me, and thanks for the great question.
Thank you, Chaz. Dr. Jessica Mann.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. I appreciate being here and hearing from everybody and what they're doing on their campuses, and being able to represent Duquesne and our wonderful coalition that's working to engage our campus community. In terms of what we're doing now until the election, we're really focusing, just as Chaz mentioned, for the University of Pittsburgh, on encouraging students to make their plan. So, engaging them in conversations about, did you submit your ballot via mail? Have you done that yet? If not, when will you? Do you know about Dropbox options? If you're choosing to vote in person, do you have a plan in terms of what your schedule looks like for that day? Are you anticipating a wait? And if so, what is your plan for that? And then we have a lot of students that have shared with us that they are already registered. So then the next question is, have you gotten some friends registered? And today's the last day to register. So, are you working together for your plans on voting? And we too are interested in changing the campus culture and having students develop their civic identities so that they are civically involved well beyond this election and throughout, this year and beyond. So we're excited about the transformation we're seeing already, and looking forward to seeing where it goes from here.
Thank you, Dr. Mann. Love to hear about working to change the culture of civic engagement on campus. Shakira Jackson.
Yes, hi. Thank you so much for having me as well. It's a pleasure to be on today. Basically, what I've been doing on my campus currently at UPB is really trying to get the students more involved. I feel like it's one thing when it's coming from faculty and staff, versus a student actually trying to get other students to be involved. I guess because everything is pretty much social media, pop trends, things of that nature. So that's pretty much been my target audience for, getting my peers more involved and getting them out to vote and things like that. Personally, I've been holding a lot of workshops, different kind of mini summits here and there to really try to get the information out there, because I find that it's either people who, they want to vote, but they don't really know the process and the steps to do that, or some people who feel discouraged, saying that, oh, I'm not going to vote because I don't feel like my vote matters and things of that nature. So a part of some of the workshops that I've been holding really just focuses on letting one know that their voice matters and that they deserve to have a voice, because voting now, we're living in a troubling time, with COVID and everything. And folks are really, they're saying I'm not voting because I can't really get out to the, to the polls and everything to vote and things of that nature. So I'm really just been trying to engrave that message, get your voice out there. Your voice matters. You matter. And yeah, so it's pretty much just been those type of things, really just trying to balance everything with getting more students to just feel encouraged to get out to the polls, because this is a very important election. And I think it's, really important for them to know that their voice matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Shakira. Lucia Hornbacher at Penn, and Penn leads the vote.
Hi, everyone. It's so great to be here and hear about all the awesome things that everyone's working on. And Shakira, I really resonate with what you were just saying about getting students to really lead this initiative. And we've been doing that at Penn through this really great platform called Motivote. And it's basically just using competition and camaraderie to mobilize and motivate students. And it's been really such a great undertaking so far. And we're really trying to make it so that people view voting not as a burden or something that's not something exciting to do. We want voting to be fun, and especially creating that culture moving forward and not making it all about November 3rd, but also just like this longstanding commitment to engage and vote. And we get to do these amazing things with our voice and our opinion. So that's been a really great tool also for harnessing personal networks, because we found that rather than going through these like bureaucratic and administrative processes like through the school to get students registered and mobilized to vote. We're using our personal networks and, texting 5 friends and saying, hey, why don't you join Motivote and see all the wonderful opportunities that lie ahead if you want to engage with this platform. And we found that that's been super, super helpful. But then I think just like one other thing that we've done that's been pretty successful is using Instagram and social media to connect with students, especially given the online world that we've all found ourselves in, and just really trying to make sure we're including more than just English on our platforms and making sure people find this information to be as accessible as possible. But yeah, it's been a pretty great semester so far, and I'm excited to hear what everybody else has to say today.
Excellent, thank you. Shelby Williams, perspective from a high school student organizer.
Absolutely. Well, first, I'd just like to thank you all for allowing me to speak in this space. Similarly to some of the things that my other panelists have mentioned, I'm using a lot of different social media platforms with When We All Vote, and specifically the Philadelphia Student Division of My School Votes. And so we have different Instagram pages, and we've been leading some DM campaigns, and meaning we're going out and messaging people, not going out, but we're messaging people through different platforms who are following some kind of pop culture account, like just celebrities as well. And we've been spreading information that way, and we're trying our best to combat misinformation. So when we see posts that have things that are misleading or false, we try to make another post to kind of counter that and just ensure that everyone has everything that they need in order to vote successfully in this election and beyond.
Thank you so much, Shelby. Great to hear about creative uses of social media like that. For my second question, it's going to be a rapid fire round. We're going to ask all of our panelists to keep their answers under 45 seconds. What's a challenge that you faced or are still facing about reaching younger voters? We know there are lots of challenges this year. What are some of the things that you faced and that you've overcome? I'll throw it to Chaz.
Voter suppression, trying to remove the barriers that are in the way of our students getting to the polls and voting. Voter suppression.
Absolutely. Jessica.
I think ours is cutting through the digital clutter, as COVID has forced our campuses to be less populated. That means everybody's online, but so are their classes and potentially their jobs. And so it's how do we cut through all that messaging so that they get the key information that they need without overwhelming them, with deadlines and whatnot that may coincide with their academic and professional and personal lives. So that's been our grandest challenge, I think.
Lots of information out there, not always reliable. Shakira, what challenges have you seen?
I would say similar to what the other panelists were saying. More so on my base, I would say time. I feel like if I had a little bit more time to, hold some more informational sessions and really get information out there, it would be more effective. But, got to work with what you got. So we're trying.
So true. Lucia, I want to throw it to you.
Yeah, similar sentiments around here at Penn. We're just trying to figure out how do we overcome this Zoom and just overall online fatigue and get people excited and engaged when it means hopping on a Zoom session or having phone calls or doing everything via text. And how do we overcome that and generate some excitement and make sure that people actually get out the vote? And then also just like trying to cut through all the information and make sure people know that they can get to our official Instagram page that we have through Penn Leads the Vote so that they can just say, okay, I've been hearing about the naked ballot situation. What does this mean? Let me go to the Instagram because that's a reliable place where I can find out what that means and how am I going to overcome that obstacle when I vote.
Excellent use of resources there. And Shelby.
Definitely. So on my end, I think it's two-pronged: accessibility and information. I don't think that we spend enough time in school kind of talking about what we're voting for. And so a lot of people just think it's the president, and there are so many other positions that people are elected to and that are appointed by those people who are elected. So I think that just more governmental literacy is something that's challenging, and I'm learning along the way. So, it's a dual prong.
Thank you so much. So that was a really quick, but I think really helpful look from all of our panelists. So I want to thank all of you because we have to hear from the Pennsylvania Department of State for joining us and giving us an insight into what's going on your campuses. So everybody in the chat, give some kudos to our amazing panelists. Thank you, Chaz, Dr. Mann, Shakira, Lucia, and Shelby for joining us today.
Yes, thank you, all of our panelists. It's always so inspiring hearing the work you're doing and connecting with some of you on campuses, and especially Shelby. The future looks bright with younger people in our community already getting engaged and talking about civic literacy and helping ensure that everyone we know has a plan to vote. So thank you all for joining us. Really appreciate what you've shared. And now it's my honor to introduce a true partner in this space at the Pennsylvania Department of State, Tiffany Chung Lawson, the Director, Bureau of Campaign Finance and Civic Engagement. And I want to reflect on her title for just a moment, because there are two huge pieces in there, campaign finance and civic engagement. And I know how much time and effort she puts into civic engagement, so I can only imagine how she gets it all done. But really excited to have you here again today with us to present, and truly appreciate your partnership. So the floor is yours, Tiffany.
Thank you so much, Ryan. And I'm so excited to be here with you all again. I am 3 for 4, like Chaz, of the voting summits. And I just really want to thank the panelists for what you shared. It's, for me, you know, we're in the grind of elections administration at the moment, but when I hear from young people and from educators and school administrators, I get so excited, because that's the work, right? That's why we're all here. That's why we're doing this. And to hear young people speak so much more eloquently about civic engagement and the work that you're doing than I could when I was your age, I'm just so excited, right? The future is bright. So today I'm going to share a little bit about what we can all do to get ready to vote, try to help cut through some of that digital clutter, and share kind of the most important information that you need to know right now to share with your campus communities, your friends, your family members. And before we get started, as Dr. Mann alluded to earlier, today is the voter registration deadline, and we've actually hit a historic moment in Pennsylvania's history. We have 9 million registered Pennsylvania voters as of today. So I'm excited to see that number actually increase by tonight, because you can actually register to vote by 11:59 p.m. Although don't wait till the last minute, and tell people don't wait till the last minute. But folks have until then to register online. So who can register in Pennsylvania? I know this has been a big question, especially on campus communities. So a couple quick things. You have to be a United States citizen for at least 30 days before the next election. You must be a resident of Pennsylvania and your election district for at least 30 days before the next election. So that's really, really important, especially if maybe your campus was doing a hybrid and you were living on campus, and then maybe you live in another part of Pennsylvania, another county in Pennsylvania, and you had to go home because your campus closed, or something happened. So that's really important to figure out, like, where is the jurisdiction that you will be voting in Pennsylvania. And then you have to be 18 years old on or before the next date of the election, which is November 3rd. So Shelby, I know you know this, but for all of your friends that are 17 right now, but are turning 18 in the next, 18 days, they're eligible to vote on November 3rd and can get registered today. So really, really important to figure out who's eligible, so that when you go to register, your voter registration won't be rejected and you'll go right through. So the next thing that I wanted to chat about is you all specifically in the higher ed space. So college students have the right to register and vote where they live while attending college in Pennsylvania. So that's really, really important. Students who are living on campus or in off-campus apartment housing can register at those respective addresses, and you can only register in one place at a time. So if you are at let's use Duquesne for an example. If you're currently in a hybrid learning environment, you're living off campus near Duquesne, and you're registered there, but for some reason something happens and you are, you have to go home, and you're not going to be able to vote in person on election day in in Allegheny County, that's just something to consider. You can only vote in one place at one time. So you just really want to keep in mind kind of what your situation is, and then how the guidance is and the law applies to you. Today is the voter registration deadline again, really, really important. So everybody who's eligible needs to get registered to vote as soon as humanly possible. Again, don't wait till tonight, do it this afternoon and just get it out of the way. So voter registration isn't actually just for folks that are getting registered to vote for the first time, but it's also a great tool to update the address on your voter record to make sure that it's accurate for your county elections office, change the name on your voter record, and also change your political party. So you can do all of these things just by going to votespa.com and updating our online voter registration form. So those are just, I think a lot of people, when they think about the voter registration, they just think about it for one purpose, but again, it's to update your voter record. So some quick deadlines I wanted to go over. Obviously today, last day to register to vote. October 27th is the last day to apply for a mail-in or absentee ballot. And you can apply online at votespa.com/apply mail ballot. But I would strongly recommend that folks out there not wait until October 27th. If you have not already applied for a mail-in ballot, many counties have satellite election offices where you can actually go in person and vote early over the counter mail ballot processing. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit in a couple slides. November 3rd is when all of your voted mail-in and absentee ballots must be postmarked or returned by 8 p.m. to your county elections office. So if you're voting by mail, that's really, really important to note. Again, I would not wait until November 3rd before 8 p.m. to postmark my voted mail-in ballot. I would definitely get that in the mail today. And if I was able to, actually drive it down to my county elections office or get it to a drop box. On November 3rd, if you are planning to vote in person, that's part of your voting plan, polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. If you are in line by 8 p.m., you will be allowed to cast your ballot. And then November 6th is when all of your postmarked mail-in and absentee ballots must be received by the county by 5 p.m. So that's going to be, again, the November 6th deadline is out of our control, because if you would postmark your ballot before 8 p.m. on November 3rd, and the county has to receive it by 5 p.m. on November 6th through mail service to be able to canvass that ballot. But canvass is a fancy election term for count. So mail-in ballots, you can apply by mail at votespa.com/apply mail ballot. You can do in person, over the counter, what we're calling early voting, or online. So over the counter processing is going to end on October 27th when the mail-in ballot application deadline is. Because if you think about it, what we're calling early voting is literally, I go to my county elections office, I make sure that they're open, or I call ahead to maybe schedule an appointment, or I make sure they're open due to kind of COVID, the COVID climate. And so then I go in person and I apply for my mail-in ballot right then and there, submit it. They give me my mail-in ballot. I select my, I vote my mail-in ballot, and then I appropriately kind of put it into the secrecy envelope, and the secrecy envelope into the return envelope, provide that right back to my county. And that's what is being called early voting. But really, the technical term is really over-the-counter processing of your mail-in ballot, which is too long for marketing purposes. But that is going to end on October 27th. So a lot of the satellite election offices that counties have put into operations over the last couple of weeks, they're going to stop accepting early voting or over-the-counter processing come October 28th. So after you submit your voted absentee or mail-in ballot, your vote is final. There's no take backsies. That's it. That's your vote, and that is final. So we have a great tool on our website. If you go to votespa.com, we have a map where you can see what county satellite election offices are available in your respective county, as well as drop boxes. So it's really important when you type in your county, whether that's, you know, Erie County, Allegheny County, Pike County, Perry County, Philadelphia County, making sure that you just look at the type, because just because it's on here doesn't mean that it's a satellite election office. We have drop boxes on here as well as satellite election offices. So you want to make sure to look at the type. So to inform you about how you're going to vote, or if you're just dropping off your mail-in ballot, you're going to want to find a drop box, or I think all satellite election offices also have drop boxes, so you can submit your mail-in ballots there. And then just make sure to look at the date and times that they're open. So this, you know, Lucia, you alluded to this earlier. There's a lot of noise and there's a lot of voter education right now from the national level coming into Pennsylvania as well as locally about naked ballots. So I'm just going to go over the process of how you need to vote a mail-in ballot and how you need to kind of message to your peers about how to appropriately vote a mail-in ballot. So when you get the ballot in the mail, there's going to be a couple pieces of paper. It's going to be a couple pieces of information. You're going to have your mail-in ballot instructions, which is going to be like a half sheet, maybe front and back. If you live or study in any of the three Section 203 counties, which just means that they have to have language access for Spanish. So that's Berks County, Philadelphia County, and Lehigh County. It'll be bilingual, Spanish and English. So you read the directions, and then you have your ballot. You're going to vote your ballot. Make sure you read the instructions on the instruction sheet as well as your ballot, because some counties say vote with a blue pen. Some counties say vote with a black pen. And if you make a mistake or your friends make a mistake, that's okay. They should contact the county elections office right away to get another ballot. So it's okay to make a mistake. You just have to call your county elections office. So once you vote your ballot, you're going to pack and seal it. So you're going to fold it up, put it into the white inner secrecy envelope that says official ballot on it. Don't write on it at all. And then take that, seal it, and then take your white inner secrecy envelope, place that into the pre-addressed outer return envelope where there's, you know, the county elections office's addresses on it, and it's already pre-stamped. Pennsylvania Department of State is reimbursing all the counties for postage, so you don't have to worry about postage. And then you seal it, and then you flip it over kind of on the side where you seal it, and you sign and date and complete the voter's declaration. And then you either drive it to your county elections office or you put it in a Dropbox and return it. So this is really important when you're communicating out to your peers. I think there's a lot of confusion right now. It's if you just follow the instructions, it's really simple. And I think people are a little, you know, there's a lot of noise right now, especially in the media, about the naked ballots, but this is what you need to do to be successful and to successfully cast your ballot by mail. So definitely share this information. So again, the return date by mail has to be postmarked by 8 p.m. on election day and received by the county elections office by 5 p.m. on Friday, November 6th. In person, you can drop it off at your county board of elections by 8 p.m. on election day. But again, I'm just going to sound like a broken record. Do not wait until the last minute. Get that in as soon as possible. So again, the drop boxes, they're a great, safe and secure way for folks to vote. Many, if not actually all the drop boxes are in a location that has been identified by the county where they have the ability to have 24/7 surveillance on that drop box. So there should be cameras, or the drop boxes are located in county government buildings where there is a security guard there, so that the drop boxes are monitored at all times when people will have access to them. So they're definitely extremely secure. They're actually made, specifically manufactured by select number of vendors across the country. So voters, again, can mail in their absentee ballots by either mailing them in or just dropping them off. And I'd strongly recommend, if you have the ability to, just drop it off in a drop box or at your county elections office. So this is a quick plug, and it's just to make sure that folks are aware. If you actually selected to be on the permanent mail-in or absentee list, when you applied for your mail-in ballots for the primary election, you would have automatically received your ballot for the general election without having to reapply. This is a request that you're going to renew annually, so you don't need to submit any paperwork. You're going to get a application, a form from your county come 2021, and you'll just submit that back to your county to say that you want to kind of renew your request to be on the permanent mail list. And this is a great option if you've realized, I love voting by mail. I mean, it's so easy. I don't have to wait in line. I don't have to figure out transportation or, you know, rearrange my class schedule for any future elections. It's so much easier. Then this is a great option for you. Tracking your ballot. So actually, really quickly, Philip, can you go back to the previous slide? I had one remark I wanted to make. So if you did sign up to be on the permanent mail-in list, but for some reason you're like, no, this election is so important, I must go vote in person, or you want to be removed, that's totally fine. Let's say, for instance, we do have a form online at votespa.com under our resource center where you can actually cancel your permanent mail-in ballot status. So you have to print that, fill it out, and submit it to your county. But also, let's say like you got your mail-in ballot, you signed up to be on the permanent list for the primary, but this election you're like, no, I have to vote in person. It's just something that you need to do. You need to go to your polling place and cast your ballot in person. You can definitely do that if you signed up to receive a mail-in ballot. You will need to take your mail-in ballot and the return envelope with you to your polling precinct. You'll need to notify the poll working staff there and say, hey, I would like to vote in person, but I have a mail-in ballot. So you need to surrender that to the judge of elections. You'll be asked to sign a voter declaration, and then once they process your voter declaration, you will be allowed to vote on the machines, or however your county's new system. So that's really, really important. I think people don't realize that even with having applied for mail-in ballot, if for whatever reason, it can be personal preference because you want to vote at your polling precinct on election day. It can be because you don't feel that there's enough time to get your mail-in ballot back to your county election office by the deadlines that I shared earlier. These are all options for how you can vote in person. But again, it's really, really important. You have to remit your ballot as well as the return envelope. If you're unable to provide those to the judge of elections, you will, the other option, like for instance, if you left it at home or you discarded it, you will have the option to vote by provisional ballot. So you can track your ballot for folks that have already voted. You can go to our website, votes.com/mail ballot status, to just see kind of, is your ballot en route to you, or if you already sent it in or dropped it off. Like once it's been processed by your county elections office, the date, and then you'll say like vote recorded. So I'll show you that in the next screen. So if you do apply in the future, or if you are applying for a mail-in ballot, provide your email address if you do that online, so you can get important notifications along the way from the Department of State. So this is what that website actually looks like. When you go to votespa.com/mail ballot status, you'll be prompted to put in your first name, your last name, your date of birth, and the county that you reside in. And this is what will appear. So you submit your application hypothetically on September 15th. It's processed right away because it's an online, you submit it online. Your ballot gets mailed to you on October 5th, and then you completed it, sent it back in. This ballot was received on October 13th, and the vote was recorded. And below you'll see kind of the descriptions of each of the columns. So this is a great tool to use if your friends or your peers are just like, Well, how do I know if my ballot was received? Go to our ballot tracker and you'll be able to see kind of what status your ballot is in. So voting is more secure this year than ever. Why? Because we have voter verifiable paper records. This is a huge initiative that the Department of State launched in 2018. So all 67 counties were mandated to have a voter verifiable paper record. Many of them had machines that did not provide that. So all the counties have new voting systems. If you or your peers are planning to vote in person on election day, but you haven't yet voted at your precinct since the new voting system was deployed, you can go to votespa.com/ready-to-vote. We have a map of all the counties. You can choose your county and you actually will be able to see what new system will be at your precinct. And some of them have videos that folks can watch. So when you're making your voting plan, you can even plan for the system that you're going to vote on. Additionally, the paper verifiable record is incredibly important to allow the counties to conduct post-election audits. So we actually, over the summer, conducted a post-election audit for the primary election, which is really important when we think about security and verifying the ballot and verifying the results of an election. So you can learn more about that on our website. So every election in Pennsylvania, whether it's a primary, general election, presidential year, we call like our even years, our odd years, it doesn't matter. All 67 counties in Pennsylvania need about 45,000 poll workers. And every year prior to this year, it has always been a real struggle to recruit poll workers, but we've had so much support from national partners to local partners and all of you in getting the word out. So most counties have met the amount of poll workers necessary to successfully carry out this election. But if you're still interested, you can definitely still sign up on our website, votespa.com/get-involved. Serving as a poll worker is wonderful. And I think Philip shared earlier, he's going to be serving as a poll worker in Philadelphia County on election day. You get to represent your community. You get to work with voters with disabilities. If you are bilingual or multilingual, you get to make use of your foreign language skills. And young people, you are a coveted demographic because you were born into the technology age. So you are technologically savvy. Many of the new voting systems that I just mentioned look like large iPads. I mean, they were leveraging new technology even with having a voter verifiable paper record. So young people are wonderful, a wonderful demographic to serve as poll workers. Another thing is like young people. Think about if you've ever voted before in another election, who you see when you go into your polling precinct. They're not usually people that look like our wonderful panel earlier. So, if I was a young person and I went into a polling place, I'd want to see other young people that kind of look like me. I mean, that would make a really amazing voter experience. And so those are the things we want to leverage. We want to make sure that every polling precinct looks like the communities that they are placed in or that they are, housed in. We want to make sure that your polling precinct represents your community. So if you want to get involved, go fill out our online application. If you don't hear from your county, that's a good thing. That means they don't need you this election, but they'll keep your information for future elections. So we have a voter education toolkit as part of our Ready to Vote campaign. It's got posters, flyers, newsletter content, web banners, social media posts. We've got a pocket guide and videos. These are great resources for you all to leverage. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. We've already done it for you. You can just reshare it in your stories on Insta or on Facebook or whatever social media Twitter, whatever social media platform you're using. Please do this, especially if you're sharing information digitally. It's great and you don't have to put any work behind it. You can just send it out. So this is the pocket guide that I just alluded to earlier. We just launched this last week. This is a great resource and was really designed for organizations, although people can print them out for themselves, but it's designed for organizations to kind of print, pre-assemble, and get directly out to voters. So we have some faculty and staff from several institutions across Pennsylvania. If you have students in your campus community that you can get this out to, we strongly recommend it. The pocket guide goes over important dates, ways to vote, voting by mail, voting at the polls, and then making a voting plan. So really, really important. And you can download it as a PowerPoint. We have extra slides that you can, there's a standard like 8 slides to create the pocket guide, and we have 4 extra slides that you guys can, mix and match as it pertains to the community that you want to share it with. And the third one down is the download the ready to print pocket guide. And it's ready to go, it's ready to print. So this might be TMI. When you print it out on an 8x11 sheet, you're gonna fold it in half, and then you're gonna fold it again. And then it's actually not double-sided, so you have to print on 2 pieces of paper, and you kind of insert that in to make a little booklet. So it's ready to go, ready to be printed. So please definitely get this out to your communities. It's our only like paper resource. Everything else we have is digital. So there's also really great videos. I know there's a lot of videos out there right now, but we've produced a ton of videos, and we've actually produced this video called What's in the Mail. One of my colleagues, Rachel Boss, who works for me, she's our community impact manager, produced it in English and Spanish. And she does what I just told you about with the naked ballot and, how to appropriately vote. She takes you through, it's called like an unboxing video. Many of you have probably seen them on YouTube, but it's usually around like makeup and things like that, or, a new iPhone unboxing video. But this is an unboxing of ballot video. And she takes you through how to appropriately complete the ballot. But that's something easy that you guys could DM to one another or share on your social media platforms. And we've got videos that also explain like how mail-in ballots are canvassed or actually counted. It shows you kind of the back end of things at the county elections office, because a lot of people are like, once I submit my mail-in ballot, like what happens? Where does it magically disappear to? And so that kind of explains the behind the scenes processing. And we've got some great videos with athletes from our Pennsylvania sports teams. And so please leverage these videos that we've worked really hard to produce and share them widely. On election day, we also have a hotline that anybody can call here in Pennsylvania. It's available when polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. We also have telephonic interpretation in over 200 plus languages. If you have any questions on election day, where's your polling place? Are you registered to vote? If you have a complaint, if maybe you felt unsafe at your polling place or something happened that didn't seem right to you, give us a call. So one quick note that I feel we don't talk enough about is if you have a complaint on election day, do not leave your polling precinct. Stay there. Because a lot of people call us on election day into the hotline once they've gone home or once they've left their polling precinct. It's very difficult for the Department of State or your county election office to provide you support or help to rectify the situation once you have physically left that polling precinct. So stay right there and then make the call so that we can help you troubleshoot that issue. All voters should be allowed to vote a provisional ballot as long as they're registered to vote. If anything happens, if you're not in the poll book or something happens, you should be allowed to vote a provisional ballot on election day. Nobody who is registered to vote should leave a polling place without voting a provisional ballot at the very least. Very, very important. The other piece is if for some reason you need assistance at the polls. So let's say you're somebody living with a disability, or you are, maybe not you, but a family member is doesn't speak English very well and they need help translating or interpreting, they're allowed to bring somebody with them to the polls. They can bring you, they can bring a family member, they can bring a friend. They might be asked, if it's not notated in the poll book, that they require assistance to complete a voter's declaration of assistance form. It takes 2 seconds to do that, and they can bring somebody into the polls with them. So I think that's really, really important, especially for communities or folks that might need some extra assistance to vote in person. A lot of people don't realize they have that right. So you can get involved by following us at PA Department of State, actually liking us on Facebook and then following us on Twitter. Help to amplify our messaging. We're putting a lot of content out there. Some of you may have already seen, if you watch TV, you might have seen our ads already, or YouTube, our ads are on YouTube. We're creating a ton of content. So amplify the messages, promote us as a trusted source of information, share our Ready to Vote toolkit, amplify kind of the content that we already have there. A big thing is going to be, and a lot of people unfortunately are probably going to prey on you all as a demographic, as young voters, as voters who might be voting for the first time or have not voted often. They're going to prey on you to spread misinformation, to make sure that, to try to hinder you from voting, right? Voter suppression. The best way to cut through that is to actively, just like Shelby was talking about earlier, actively combat that with our content. You don't have to recreate it. I know When We All Vote is putting out like awesome stuff. I follow you guys and on Insta, and you guys are doing a great job. I love the couch parties, everything that you're doing. But also leverage us as well. If you're not like an organization like that who's pumping out your own content, use our content. It'll make it so easy, but put out as much content as you can. If your friends have questions, reach out to any one of us that are, sponsoring today's summit. We'll help to get you the best answer possible. And just, as issues arise on election day, don't hesitate to call in to us. You can contact Department of State directly to help you and support your communities as they go to vote. So with that, I think we will I'll kick it back over to you all for a Q&A.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. Always so much information, and really appreciate you helping distill that for us. I think we have time for 1 or 2 questions. I did see one that, do students need to bring any sort of identification to the polls?
Great question. So you only need to bring a photo or non-photo identification to the polls if it's your first time voting at that polling precinct. And photo identification could be your campus ID. It can be your driver's license. Everybody always says driver's license. It doesn't have to be a driver's license, but it could be like, if you're living on off-campus housing, it could be a utility bill. It could be a bank statement. It doesn't have to be a driver's license. I know that can be a barrier, and for people that don't have driver's licenses. So if you go to votespa.com, we actually have a list of all of the materials you'll need. I think it's votespa.com/@the-polls. So there's a bunch of information about like what you'll need to bring if it's your first time voting for identification. There's like 9 different types of photo ID and like 9 different types of non-photo ID that you can bring. You can bring a W-2. If you like have a job, you can bring a W-2, a pay stub. Actually, I don't think W-2. I think pay stub is the accurate one. If you have a job, if you work on campus or something, you can bring your campus ID card, your job ID, anything. Not anything, sorry, but a lot of different things other than a PennDOT driver's license or state ID card.
Thank you again so much, Tiffany. Appreciate all this information. Votespa.com is the main resource. They have such good social media toolkits to get that good, trusted information out there to cut through all that digital noise. So thanks again, Tiffany. Truly appreciate your partnership and all that the Pennsylvania Department of State is doing to ensure a safe and secure election. And just timed perfectly in the chat box, a little bit about the Power Hours. So the Voting Power Hours kicking off tonight. We'll be hosting with all of these amazing partners and more every night at 8 p.m. Eastern time, except Friday. So Monday through Thursday and Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern. They'll be streamed on the All In Challenge Facebook. They're also being streamed on YouTube. We have a registration link. I'm going to put it in the chat to show you all of the events. What these are friend banking events, nonpartisan text banking of family and friends. And we'll have star-studded hosts who will do the training on the Outvote app, which is super easy to download, sync your contacts to, secure, and then you can send pre-written messages. So we'll be streaming those. So hopefully you can share and encourage your students to participate, attend. If you want to host the live stream on your campus or organization's Facebook page, send me an email and we can get you set up so you can also have that live stream coming through your channels. I'll put my email in the chat. You can send me an email and we can get that set up for you. But we're really excited for Emma Stone and Damien Chazelle to host with us tonight, and we'll have DJs playing music and tunes. We're just about to announce publicly, but on Saturday, Loud Luxury will be the DJ for Selena Gomez. I had to Google what that is, but they have one song that has almost 8 million listens, so that it makes me believe they're a real big deal. But really excited about these events, so hope you can join us tonight and throughout the week at these Voting Power Hours. And one more thing before we wrap up here is the opportunity with the Ask Every Students. We mentioned that at the top. I believe Carmen is in the chat, and I'll let Carmen give you a quick little intro to the Ask Every Students and the optional breakout session after about some additional funding opportunities.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you so much for having me. It's really exciting to see so many faces I recognize, including Phil Hensley from back in Delco 2016 elections. Did not expect to see you here. How's it going? Anyway, I am the project manager for Ask Every Student. We are a program of the Students Learn, Students Vote Coalition, Ask Every Student, and the Campus Vote Project. I've spent some time getting out the vote all over the country, including Delaware County. And I'm going to talk to some folks today about efforts to institutionalize voting and civic engagement on your campus as a way to really make voting a part of your campus culture, something that's not a big deal and is just a natural part of being a student at your respective campus. And as an added bonus, if you come, your campus gets $1,000 because we are really, really invested in helping to get out the vote and creating a sustainable system of voter mobilization in Pennsylvania and across the country. But we just had a great grant come through, so we have some money to help support Pennsylvania campuses. So everybody that comes will receive for their campus efforts $1,000.
All right, so just to wrap up our wonderful summit, and we encourage all of you to stay on for the second part with Carmen, but that is not a required piece of this summit. So before I adjourn, I want to thank all of you for coming out. I would like to thank our sponsors, the Student Learn, Student Vote Coalition, Common Cause of Pennsylvania, Andrew Goodman Foundation, the Boys and Girls, the GirlGov program in Pittsburgh, PennPIRG, the Campus Election Engagement Project, which our good friend Johanna has been a part of our call, the Campus Vote Project, who both Philip and I work for, and finally the All In Democracy Challenge. So we want to thank all of our sponsors. We also want to thank our friends at the Department of State for being a sponsor and for being a great part of this summit. We will send out a copy of the recording as well as some follow-up. So at this time, our summit is now adjourned, but we encourage all of you to stay on for our optional party with Carmen. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Carmen, if you want to give it a minute or so, see who drops.
Figured we would have some folks.
Awesome. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. Good luck. Let's push hard the next 18 days.
Good luck to you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Philip, we can stop recording.